vulnerability among men? Because I know that it's often a hard topic for men to be vulnerable, to open themselves, to yeah, show their emotions. So, how do you think men relate to vulnerability?
Yeah. Well, we're clearly born with it, aren't we? You know, I have two granddaughters. I'm very blessed to have two granddaughters who are 5 and 7 years old right now. And they helped me remember me when I was 4 or 5, and my son when he was 4 or 5. And yeah, vulnerability was natural then. You know, even though I was a male human child, I had no issues with vulnerability. It was as natural as any other attribute of being human. And it helped me fully engage with life as only small children can, you know. But then stuff happens, you know. I remember being in a dance contest at school when I was 5. And, you know, I'm not a gifted dancer. The universe has designed my body for various things, but grace, elegance, rhythm, not so much. So I was giving it my all, you know. It was the 1960s, so I was doing the twist to a Beatles song, and I was putting my whole heart, soul and body into it, and I was having fun until out the corner of my eye I saw a few older kids, boys, laughing at me. Deep wound, you know, wounding in that core vulnerability place for me. And big steel shutter comes down. We'll never dance again. Much too dangerous. I'm not going through that again, you know. And for decades that was true, that I would not dance, you know. So that little tiny personal experience maybe is just an example of what happens to guys. That in our dysfunctional societies and cultures, we get a strong message when we're young and easy to influence, and when we're very adaptable, very malleable. We get this powerful message that vulnerability is weakness, and weakness will be punished. And so we start faking it. We start faking this, I'm invulnerable, I have no chinks in my armor, you know, even if stuff really hurts me, I won't let it show that it's hurt me, because that's the next best thing to being invulnerable, is to appear invulnerable. And that just leads us to a very sad place, you know. Very restricted, very limited, very stiff. You know, the lover archetype sent into exile, really. And that with it, our ability to revel in the wonderful joyousness of life pretty much cut off. So, you know, it happens in different ways to different guys at different points in their life, and there'll be different versions of it in different cultures. But I think for a lot of us, there's a basic truth there. You know, people say difference between men and women is men are afraid women will laugh at them, and women are afraid that men will kill them. And usually feminists quote that quote to say, yeah, so women have it worse. And, you know, that's a terrible thing that a man might actually kill a woman. And there's a truth in that I accept. But sometimes the way that quote is used fails to understand how wounding it is for a man to be laughed at like that. You know, that to our psyche, that's not very far away from being killed. You know, let's not get into equivalence
Yeah.
in a simplistic way, but I just want to make that point that this kind of wounding can be really profound and can alter the entire rest of the course of your life. You know? So until I got some healing for that wound, decades later, I was crippled as a human being, you know, really crippled. So what about positive stuff around vulnerability for men? So I think that kind of stuff happens for men. Men get the message that it's not okay to do vulnerability, and so they stop doing it. And then if you create a men's group that uses counsel practices so that it's a really safe, strong container. The very first time I did that, and I had almost no clue what I was doing. I read a little bit of a book, and I had a chat on the phone with a friend who set up his own men's group 6 months earlier than me. That's all I had to go on, so I just knew the basics. And 6 of us sat in a circle around the fire. We passed a talking stick round. We took it in turns to share. And in that very first meeting, one of the guys said, "There is nowhere else I can say this stuff." I thought, wow. So you're a guy in your 50s, you're a member of a church, you have family, you're a respected guy in your community, and the stuff that's really important for you, the stuff that's going on in your heart that you are really, it's the only thing going on for you in life right now, and it's big and it's hard, and there is no way you can talk about it until this crazy guy invents this thing, you know, happens to say, "I want a men's group where I live that I can go to, therefore I'm willing to start one." And suddenly now you've got a place you can take that stuff. Wow, okay, I can't stop doing these groups then, can I? That's kind of like a sacred task I've been entrusted with the rest of my life. I have to be doing that.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a couple of things in that story. One is men are taught they can never show this stuff, even though they also get criticized for that. You know, men are emotionally illiterate. No, they're not. They just know it isn't safe out there. So as soon as you do create a safe place, men suddenly find this emotional literacy. Suddenly they know exactly how to get in touch with their feelings. They know exactly how to tell what's going on for them. And, you know, it's not like it's an instant thing for everybody that they actually say it out loud. I've been in circles where the same group meets every month for years, you know, like I was in that first group for 10 years, and it still meets now, but I moved to a different part of the country and started another group. But we had a guy come to that group for 2 years before he said anything that was really from the heart. But he was working that whole 2 years. He was walking up to the edge and going, "I still don't feel safe enough." Up to the edge, and I see these other guys jumping over the edge, and it appears to be safe for them. They don't die. The sky doesn't fall in. It's okay. Boy, I wish I could do it. But, you know, it just depends how many times you've been wounded in that area. You know, if you've taken a lot of damage, it's going to be a while before you can trust it.
Yeah.
But the feeling that night when he jumped over the edge, you know, when he really trusted the circle and shared something really deep. I mean, it was worth waiting for, you know. So guys can do it. They want to do it. They need to do it, you know. You know, the narrative at the moment is men are dangerous, men are stupid, men are lazy, men are the problem. well, okay, then let's create the conditions where men can be their best selves instead of their
Mhm.
worst selves.
Yeah.
You know, if we as a whole society are not willing to put the work in to create those conditions,
Mhm.
well, we have to live with the consequences. So, yeah, guys can do it. They want to do it. They need to do it. And when you see it, it's a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
And yeah, men-only spaces seem to be a really good way to start that work. So I've been in council circles with just guys and seen them go from, is this safe? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to risk it. To, yeah, these are my people. This is the safest place in the world. I relax when I get here. And then I've seen those same guys come on a different kind of activity. I used to lead wilderness retreats in the mountains, and we'd have mixed groups come on those. And again, you'd sit in circle and use counsel to share about what was going on for you. And those guys managed to cross that next threshold of, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable in front of women as well as men. And the women in those groups were always blown away by that. They always had some kind of comment at the end of, it's been fantastic to spend 5 days with men who don't need me to carry their baggage for them. You know, I have so enjoyed being with men who can be real about their feelings, you know, men who are having the courage to be vulnerable. You know, they were really blown away by that.